In these episodes, we're talking about the general matters and the cost implications for the clients or for the viewers like you. So I have got a special guest, Philip Coates from Becker Watt Lawyers, and let me introduce to Philip. Welcome to the show, Philip. Great to have you today.
Hey, good afternoon, Pravin.
That's good. Good afternoon, mate. Now, Philip, obviously we're talking about expert witness and expert evidence, and and as you being a senior solicitor in Becker Watt Lawyers, we want to know what type of matters. Let's deep dive here. What types of the matter would require an expert witness, Philip? Let's start with that, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, one of the main areas that would require an expert witness would be potentially building disputes. Would be probably a good place to start. So if you've got, for argument's sake, a matter that's between a homeowner and a builder, it could well be that you need expert determination to establish the state of the matter. Obviously, once the disagreement has usually occurred. You've also usually building experts are engaged for defective building works or incomplete building works. That'd be two other areas that you could potentially require experts. And I guess the third main area is the construction law that we see the need for those kind of witnesses would be maybe reviewing QBCC decisions. So the QBCC may well issue a direction to rectify to a builder, and the dispute that would potentially follow from that, or an internal or external review that would follow from there, that could well require the determination from an expert witness as to the builder's position.
Okay, I hope that's a pretty clear. So there's a 3 points there. So definitely that give the clarity to our viewers. Now, also some of our viewers are curious to know the cost implications. Exactly, because as you go through these kind of the cases, there are the matters bring along is the cost. So what are the cost implications to the client, Philip?
Yeah, well, I've probably split that into two. So, and essentially the dispute which has occurred, that would probably need to be a relatively sized dispute to justify an expert witness. So for argument's sake, if it was a dispute that had arisen over, say, a matter that's worth $5,000, $10,000, it probably wouldn't be worth engaging an expert witness to put your side of the story forward, or to determine and to kind of back up your side. I think the matters where essentially, say for argument's sake, if you had a dispute between a homeowner and a builder that was potentially worth $100,000, I would certainly say you would be looking to an expert witness, and both sides would likely engage an expert witness to substantiate their position. For argument's sake, maybe it's that practical completion hasn't been reached, or that there were defects in the building, or there's structural defects within the building. So yeah, it tends to be sort of a little bit larger disputes because there is a significant cost associated with expert witnesses and providing the reports and the services that they do. So obviously it's got to be cost effective for the client and required to engage expert witnesses as well.
Okay, so what you're saying is the matter of the dispute need to be relatively large for dispute, yeah?
Relatively substantial. It would obviously all come into, once you've been engaged as a solicitor, it would all come into the process of obviously advising the client and guiding them through any kind of potential dispute and any possible litigation. That would all come into the discussions with the client as to the best way forward, whether that would be engaging an expert witness.
Okay, I hope that's pretty clear to the viewers. Yep, now that's certainly it's very where this what are the cost implications. Now then the questions is how would the expert be provided with the documentation to begin with the investigation and provide the report? I can think that it is very complex, especially those who have not been involved from the scratch or from the beginning. What's your thought on that?
So obviously, I guess one of the most fundamental important things when you are engaging expert witnesses, they are independent. So you want them to do their own investigations, come to their own conclusions. That's of fundamental importance, so that the report that is then developed is independent and has been. I think that carries the most weight, if that's the case. So essentially, what you would do, the process would be something similar to providing a brief. So the brief would compile of all the construction documents. So it might be the building contracts, the building schedule, contract specs, handover reports, engineering documents. It would essentially be all the relevant documentation that's gone into the construction of the property, and possibly anything that's occurred throughout the actual construction itself. So essentially that brief would provide all the information as to the background of the dispute, and then essentially you would, from that point, you would instruct and provide a scope to the expert to say, these are the potential issues in dispute. We'd like advice and your determination on X, Y, Z. Once they've got that information, they'll likely do their investigations. So they'll attend site, they'll obviously do all the relevant checks. And then from there, once they've done all those investigations, they'll provide a report. Now, further to that, and a lot of the building experts that we've dealt with in the past, they will also be able to provide quantum. So they may well say X is defective and it requires X number of dollars to rectify that defect. So they can sort of provide further than just reports about the structure of the building, about everything to do with the building. They can also provide the cost to rectify, or the likely cost to rectify, the defects that they've identified as well.
Okay, yep, that's pretty clear. By the way, guys, if you're just watching this from our Facebook channel, I'm with Philip Coates from Becker Watt Lawyers, Senior Solicitor in Building and Constructions. And if there's any specific questions or any specific challenges you are facing through, feel free to just type in or drop us a quick message, and Philip and his team can definitely bring that attention. So that's good, Philip. So we're talking about expert witness and expert evidence. Now, you mentioned very clearly how expert will provide the documentations to begin the investigation and the report. You said that. Now, also curious to know what discussion can occur while the expert report is being drafted, Philip.
Yeah. So, I mean, essentially, the simple answer to that question is very limited. I guess the main discussions that would occur would predominantly be around the scope of the investigation, or the scope of the report that's being provided by the expert. Obviously, there's no question there would be no influence over the contents of the report or the way that the report was being drafted in any way. So it would essentially be just clarity of what you're requiring the expert to do. That would be the main sort of reason for contact. But yeah, there could be no influence of any kind of investigation or any kind of findings that the expert comes up with. It's fundamentally important that is kept that way, because obviously that maintains the independence of the expert and potentially increases the reliability of the expert, because they've remained independent. They've done their own investigations and they've drawn their own conclusions, which, like I said, carry a lot of weight if it's been completely independent from any influence from any party.
Right. So what you're saying is, obviously the expert need to get the independent report, to draft that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yep. Totally on that. Now, just I'm conscious with the time. Just the other questions from one of our viewers is, what legal privilege professionals occur around drafting the report and communications between the expert and the solicitor, Philip? I think perhaps if you could shed a bit of light on these things, that would be really helpful.
Yeah. So essentially, professional legal privilege is the right to remain confidence communications between parties. So essentially, the best and the simplest way to view this is any correspondence and communication that occurs in the drafting of the expert report. You always would give the view that could be disclosed to the other side at any time. That's the simplest and easiest way to deal with it. There are obviously certain exceptions to that, and that would be correspondence from the legal team to the expert could potentially attract privilege. But I think that the simplest and best way to approach that is approach it with any documentation that the building expert has either communicated or is used to draft the actual report. If you go with the view that potentially could be revealed to the other side, you would cover yourself in the best way.
Right. Okay. Now that's pretty clear. Thanks, Philip. I'm conscious with the time. Now, anything you want to set the lights on before we wrap up the show today? Expert witness and expert evidence. Anything you want to share that with our viewers?
I think the sort of closing point is the fundamental importance of the independence of the expert. That's sort of the best and sort of key takeaway is that they are independent, and that gives the strongest position as to they've not been influenced by any other party. I think that's the fundamental takeaway.
Yep, beautiful. Thank you, Philip. It's great to have you, and looking forward to doing more. So we can add a value to our viewers. By the way, those people who are listening this and they are finding a bit of challenging on their specific situation and building and constructions, obviously you and your trusted team can help them. So what is the best best way to reach you and the team?
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways. Obviously, it's always good to start with the website, so www.beckerwatt.com.au, email info@beckerwatt.com.au, and the old-fashioned way of pick up the telephone 073269488.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And also there is 1300 number as well, 1300 at legal.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Phillips. We'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Byron.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. I hope you enjoyed Talking Legal episodes. If you have any specific matters, if there is any specific question, feel free to just email, give a call to 1300 at legals or info@beckerwatt.com.au. Until then, I'll catch you on the next week, Thursday, 5 p.m. Queensland time. Take care. Bye for now.